Hey everyone, I am back after, a while. I don't know when the last time was that I recorded a video, but being pregnant, the end of pregnancy, and then having this baby, I've been taking some time off. But we're back, and I'm excited to introduce you to my son. This is little Lucas. Hi, Lucas. Can you say hi? Can you say hi? He's 7 weeks old. He's a very big boy, but the sweater makes him look double the size. I know it's a little too big for him, but he's a very happy boy, and he's bringing a lot of joy to our lives. And yeah, so today what I'm going to do is just answer some questions. I posted on my Instagram and on my YouTube, and you guys had a lot of questions, so I'm just going to answer them. But what I will promise you is that in the coming weeks and months, I'll be bringing you a lot more content that you've requested. I asked you guys, what do you want to see from me? And I was so surprised that the overwhelming majority of you guys want to have mom content. You want to know about the pregnancy and how to be fit and, the birth and all these things. And so I'll definitely be creating that kind of content for you when I have time because everything is according to Lucas's schedule now. But for now, I just want to answer briefly some questions. But if there is a topic that I'm diving into and I'm answering that you want like a whole video dedicated to it, then let me know in the comments section. If there's enough interest in that, then I'll definitely create a video for you guys in the future. So I'm going to pass off this little guy to his teta, to grandma, so that I can actually record this video. And so I'll say goodbye. You want to say bye? Say bye, mister. This sweater's definitely too big, but I thought it was cute. He looks like a marshmallow. Okay, bye. All right, so thank God for grandmas, right? My mom's been super instrumental, super helpful throughout this entire thing. Even after we gave birth, we had to spend 3 nights in the hospital, and we had to call my mom for some help because it was really exhausting. I'll tell you guys about that in the birth story. And then she's been so helpful to, I spend the weekends at her house. She'll make food and meals for us. And she's just really good with Lucas. And he knows her because he's known her since birth. So it's nice to have her around. But we're going to be leaving to Panama pretty soon. So I'm not going to be having her around for a long time because we're going to be staying there for quite a while. So I'm definitely enjoying it while I can. Okay, so first of all, what happened to my place? Some water damage, and so we had to redo the flooring, and everything got taken out. And so we had been renting in another unit for a few months now, and so we're going to be moving back in here really soon. But I'm just using it for filming because, well, I can have my own space. Otherwise, the other place is always going to have a baby crying or something going on over there. So this is just the current state of it, but hopefully I can refurnish it and make it a home soon again. Okay, so as I said, I'm just going to answer some questions from Instagram for this video, and then I'll be doing like a deep dive in certain topics at another point in time. This is just like my getting back into filming. It's been like, one of the reasons why I haven't been filming, I'll be honest, is because my brain hasn't been all there. Ever since the end of my pregnancy, I felt like I've lost some brain cells, and it's been harder for me to articulate what I want to say. It's harder for me to form thoughts. It's like, I don't know, I just feel like dumber in some sense. And I feel like, oh my gosh, how on earth am I going to ever record a video? Like, how am I going to teach something when I feel this way? And it is a limiting belief because it's not true. But it's just how I've been feeling. And so, even 3 days ago, I was telling Steph, I'm like, I have no idea when I'm going to get back to YouTube. Like, it's going to be a while because I'm not feeling it. But then last night, I just got motivated, and I asked you guys hey, what kind of content do you want to see? And it kind of encouraged me. And so my advice for you is when you have motivation, use it. So I got a little motivated yesterday, and so today I'm filming this video because if I know if I wait until tomorrow or the next day, that motivation might be gone because motivation's fleeting. So you never want to leave the sight of a goal without taking some action. And whenever you do feel that motivation, use it up. So for me now, I've just have a little bit more energy, not because I've caught up on sleep. I'm still getting 5 hours a night, but my mom's here today, so I'm taking advantage of that time so I can record this. So let's answer some questions. Is motherhood what you imagined, or is it different? You know what? It's not what I imagined. It's actually a lot harder than I realized. I think I underestimated it. Not that I wasn't prepared. Like, I really prepared myself for having a baby. Stefan and I had been wanting to have a baby for 3 years before we had him. And then, like COVID and delaying our wedding. And then it took us a year to get pregnant and miscarriage. And so there was like delay after delay. And so there was a lot of time for me to prepare myself mentally, but also just like reading the books and like getting the supplies and like making sure that I'm in a situation where I have the time and the freedom to really raise my baby and take care of him. But you will never be able to fully prepare to become a parent for the first time. There's a mental aspect to it, especially I can only speak from my own experience as a mother. It's that transition, the first time, becoming a parent for the first time and transitioning from your life is your life, where you can wake up and you can do what you want to do when you want to do it. You can go to the gym, you can go for a walk, you can brush your teeth, like something so simple you take for granted when it's something you do every single day, right? Without hesitation. But when you become a mother, it's like now everything is about baby. And it should be that way in the beginning. Any good mom is going to prioritize their baby, because when you have a baby, an infant, those first 3 months, they call them the fourth trimester. This is the time that the baby needs mom. The baby doesn't even realize it's separate from mom. And so it wants to be attached all the time. It wants to feel mom, smell mom, nuzzle and suckle. And it can feel extremely draining, because you go from like having your own sovereignty to now like literally being attached to this little human being 24/7. And you do it because you love your baby, right? And it's every mom goes through it, but it's hard. That transition is hard. Like, I really struggled with that. And you can't really prepare for it. It's just, you just experience it. And so I would say that's something that people like never mentioned to me. They didn't talk about like the mental aspect of it, how challenging it is to just like have someone like 24/7 attached to you and needing you so much. I've never been needed so much in my entire life. And it's such a beautiful thing. It's such an honor, but it's pressing, it's demanding, and it's okay to feel that way. It is and it isn't what I expected. So I would say for me, the first 2 weeks were really, really tough. I went through what's called the postpartum blues, which is kind of like you're feeling very depressed. It's not depression. It's because you have a lot of hormones going through your body, and there's that huge transition, as I talked about. And so for me, I really struggled the first 2 weeks emotionally. And then after 4 weeks, I really started to feel a lot better. That's when I started to really feel like myself again. But part of that is because of like the birth. I went through a 40-hour labor. It was really exhausting. I was super sleep deprived. And then you get this baby right away that you now like don't get any sleep with, right? And so it was just a lot all at once. And I just wasn't fully prepared for it as I thought I would be. Also, I had to have an emergency C-section, so I never researched having a C-section. I never thought that would happen. And so I didn't realize like the recovery process of that, the pain afterwards, and like just like getting in and out of bed, because I didn't know with a C-section, maybe someone should hand you the baby. I was holding the baby, getting in and out of bed, and just like feeling like my insides were ripping open. So there's a lot of different dynamics at play. And moving forward, like with the next one, if I have another child, then for sure I would definitely be enlisting more help earlier on. But now that I've kind of gotten past those early stages and I've figured things out, that's a big part too. Is like it takes you time to figure out motherhood. It takes you time to learn and discover your baby. Yes, your baby was in your womb and you kind of know your baby, but not really. Once your baby comes out, your baby and you are forming a relationship, and you're also building trust. Like the way I felt like in the beginning, my baby just wanted my boob. Like all the time just wanted the boob and just found comfort in the boob. And so that's what I would give him. But now I notice how he finds comfort in me. He's built trust with me. He knows my smell, and he, when he's crying, if I hold him, he comforts, he quiets. He doesn't just need to be attached. And so that's a beautiful thing, because I see our relationship growing, and every single day I'm learning something new about him, like literally all the time. Now I know when he cries like this, like that means he's tired. When he does this, when he kicks like this, that means he's gassy. Like I'm learning, you're discovering your baby, and it's like this language that you create together. Like he can't speak English, and you basically have to learn his body language and his cues. And that whole process is really cool. Like I love learning. Obviously, growth is one of my top values, and it's cool to see how much I can grow in this whole new chapter of my life. Like, everything I did in the past, those were all chapters. I've opened this new chapter of my life called Motherhood, and it's not just a chapter, it's a whole damn book. And there's so much that goes into it. So much to learn every single day. I'm like Googling this and asking questions about this on Facebook groups, and there's just a lot of dynamics at play, and it's a beautiful growth experience. So that's the way you can frame it, so that you can really kind of enjoy all these new things instead of feeling overwhelmed by them. Just see them as opportunities to grow, and it's all part of this experience. And so now, like after, now it's 7 weeks, I'm kind of getting into the swing of things, and I'm starting to get a little bit of a rhythm here. And that's why I feel okay to be making a video now. Before I was like, even 3 days ago, I was like, heck no, like it's just, there's a lot going on, and I don't have time for this, and I don't want to do this. But now I'm actually like, yeah, like it would be nice for me to do something other than baby all day. And so this is kind of like a break for me. This is a nice break. This is the longest break I've had in 7 weeks. All right, let's move on. Do you have a babysitter? No. So I didn't want a nanny or a babysitter, and have been doing kind of everything myself. My mom has been super helpful, and Stefan, for him, bless his heart, he's doing his best, but it's harder for him because it's just different for guys, especially when babies are really young. Maybe not everyone, but, it's like the baby, he doesn't know how to console the baby as well as I do, of course, because I'm the mother. And my mom also had her own kids, so she has a lot of experience. But he's also, he's been helpful in other ways. So no, I haven't. But you know what? Now I'm actually looking for some help, because I'm realizing that, I would like to go to the gym. I would like to write in my journal. I would like to do a meditation. I was doing a meditation every day, and the furthest I've gotten is, like I was doing a Joe Dispenza meditation the other day, holding the baby, and I was doing the blessings of the energy centers. And the furthest I've gotten was to the third chakra. So I would like to finish a meditation, So there's things for me that I would like to do, and I don't think that's selfish. That's going to help fill me up, so I have more to give. And to have a nanny come in for 2-3 hours in the mornings would be super helpful. So I'm on the hunt. I'm looking for that kind of help, so that I can make my life a little bit easier. Okay, how will you balance work life and mom life? Yeah, that's a good question. That's something I'm going to have to discover. I'm going to have to figure it out. I'm not at that point yet. I haven't been working for a long time. I've got a lot of emails piled up. But at the same time, I really was intentional about when I wanted to have my babies. And Stefan as well. We're a unit, so this was a long time in the making. We both didn't want to have kids until we were in a financial position, so that we could take time off work and not have to work, so that we could be fully dedicated to raising the babies and not feel like we have to get pulled away for our responsibilities, our financial responsibilities. And I know, of course, not everyone's going to be in that position, but we spent years setting ourselves up to be in this place, right? We spent years trying to build online businesses and create passive income so that we could be in this place. It didn't happen overnight. We always knew that this was kind of the end goal, was to be in this position when we start a family so that we don't have the stresses that our parents experienced, right? We both grew up with parents that had very turbulent relationships. Stefan's parents filed bankruptcy multiple times, very rocky relationships, ended up divorced. My mom also ended up divorced, fighting all the time about money and finances. My mom had to start her own business when I was a baby, and she had to be away from me, and so she didn't really get to enjoy me so much as a baby because she was out all day. And so that was kind of one of her regrets, but at the same time, it was a necessity because she needed to make money. She needed to provide for us. So we both had those experiences growing up, and so we knew what we wanted to do, and we were really trying to figure out how can we make this happen. And that's how all of this stuff happened, right? This whole channel about making money online, passive income, all of that stuff. The people now, what I realized, the people who would benefit most from online business are moms. I can't imagine leaving my baby now in 3 months or 6 months or even a year. It'd be really hard to just leave him at home for 8 hours a day. And I know that there's a lot of moms who feel that way as well. So I can see why a lot of people are searching for ways to build online businesses. And yeah, it's not going to be easy. Like right now at this stage, when the baby is still an infant, I have no idea how people are going to be balancing work and mom life. Like I couldn't do it. My hat is off to all the women that I have coached over the years who have small little kids. And I'm like, I had no idea, that the experience until now I realized how demanding it is, and just it's amazing how amazing women are. So I have mad respect for all those moms who are working and raising their families. So at this point, no, I think like when you have a small baby, it's like, that's why there's maternity leave. Like they realize like mom needs to be there, and it's really hard if she's not. But at some point, when the baby has more autonomy and can, be with other people and has more independence, like, yeah, there's definitely room to be having that work-life balance. And that's what I'll figure out. And when I do, I will be sure to let you know how that's going. How did you get back in shape so fast? Well, first of all, I was working out throughout my entire pregnancy, and I think that's a big thing, like really, really big. I know that sometimes when you're pregnant, you feel tired, uncomfortable, you're in pain, or if you have like nausea, it can be really hard to stay fit. But I actually had a really easy pregnancy, I would say. Like the worst of it was I had some pelvic girdle pain, and I had some back pain more towards the end of the pregnancy. But for me, I didn't have like morning sickness or anything like that. And so I was consistently working out from the beginning, since before being pregnant up until the end of pregnancy, around, not the very end. I think I worked out until about 34 weeks. And then I was like, I don't really feel like doing it anymore. And I didn't want to put so much pressure on myself. And what it's really in tune with my body. And so what I was doing is the same thing that I kind of always did. So I would do weight training, which is something I've been doing since I became an adult. I've been doing it for, a decade now. And I would do that 3 days a week. And then I would also do Pilates for pregnancy. There's this woman on Instagram called the Bell Method. I think that's what it's called. And so I purchased her course. And so I would do that on my lazy days, on the days that I didn't feel like working out. Instead of not working out, I would do that because it's a lot easier than weight training at the gym. And so I would do that like 2 or 3 days a week. And so I did that consistently. And that was great, like that served me. And I also was swimming a lot, and I was doing tennis. I played tennis up until 33 weeks pregnant. Yeah. So I was mobile. I was moving around a lot. So that for sure contributes to it. I felt strong. I felt really strong actually. I actually felt really weak after giving birth. So after I gave birth, you can't work out for a while. And I didn't start working out until about 2 weeks after. It wasn't a workout. You have diastasis recti, and so you want to be careful with your abdomen about the muscle separation. And so the Bell method, she has a 4th trimester core program to help you kind of regain your strength. And so I had been doing those exercises from 2 weeks to like 5 weeks. And so basically it's helping pull back the abdomen and build some stability in your body again. And you would do that before you resume your workouts, before you resume weight training or going to the gym. So you're prepping your body because you have to understand what it went through. But that's not how I lost weight. My body kind of shrunk back right after giving birth, partly because of the circumstances. Like my labor was really long and it was a very stressful process. And I did not want to eat, didn't find time to eat. And so I wasn't eating much. So that probably contributed to it. The stress contributed to it. And then after having the baby, I literally needed to be fed. Like Stefan would need to bring me food. Otherwise I wouldn't eat. So unfortunately, that was the circumstance, and that was probably why I lost a lot of it really quickly. But also from breastfeeding. I exclusively breastfeed, and it takes a lot of energy for your body to produce breast milk. I also have an oversupply. So I think that burning all those calories contributed to it as well. How do you manage to stay positive and push through postpartum depression? I'll be making a whole video on this topic because I think it's really important. It really showed me, this was kind of not my first experience with having depressive thoughts, but really feeling consumed by it, overwhelmed by it. And so I really appreciate that experience because now I have this understanding of people who struggle with mental health and who, for them, that is the day-to-day. That's not just 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks of their life. It's every single day. So for me, what really helped was realizing that this is just a state. It's just a state. And I am not my thoughts, that these are thoughts. The mind is not who I am. So there's a spiritual element that really helped me. And I have some videos on this. Dissociating yourself from the mind is really important. Also, learning to let go. So what you're feeling, just allow yourself to experience it, but you let it go. If there's a thought or an emotion, learning to let go instead of feeling it and resisting it. Because when you resist it, it persists and it gets stronger. Or suppressing it, and then it comes up again, or you're stacking emotions and then you have an outburst. And so it was a way for me to be more introspective and see I was able to see myself from that bird's eye view and see how I was behaving and acting and feeling. And I realized this is not who I am. You don't want to create an identity about it. I am just going through this experience in my life, and I have these feelings, but I'm not identifying with them. And this too shall pass. Today was a rough day. Tomorrow's a whole new day. I'm going to wake up and I'm going to feel better. And chances are I will feel better when I wake up. And that this is just a state, and this state is temporary. In one moment I can be really sad and emotional, and the next moment I might hear a really funny joke and I might laugh. So it's not permanent. And that brought me a lot of relief. How do you plan your child's development? What kinds of activities do you do with him? So at this stage, everything is brand new for him. And so I like to put myself into his perspective. He's a new baby in this world. Literally everything he looks at is looking at it for the first time, discovering it for the first time. When he comes out of the womb, he's smelling things, looking at things, touching things. He's never felt clothes on his skin before. He's never felt a diaper. He's never felt needing to be changed. He's never felt having to work for his food. He was just fed through the umbilical cord. So I think of things from my baby's perspective, and I realize wow, this baby is this must be so overwhelming for this baby at times. And it is. So when they're so young, you don't need to throw them in with overstimulation, because everything's already stimulating for them, let them, discover the world on their own a little bit. But there are things that you can do at a certain age, after a few weeks. There's something called the Wonder Weeks, and I think it's beautiful. It's wonderful. I have this book. There's also an app called the Wonder Weeks, and it will teach you about babies' developmental leaps. And so these are developments in their brain, and they happen in predictable time frames. So across different cultures, this has been consistent. So when your baby's going to be going through one of these developmental leaps. And when they go through it, they become more fussy, more cranky, more clingy. They want to be with mom all the time. They become more shy from strangers. And so you know to expect that, instead of like, why is my baby like this? Like, you were happy yesterday and now you're like this. And so you learn that, okay, during this time, this is how I can support my baby's development and help them. And once they get over the sleep, they'll have acquired new skills. And so then you can actually help them to build those skills through certain activities, playtime activities. And so they'll give you suggestions on what you can do, whether it's like walking around your house and showing them high contrast things, or pointing at different patterns, or bringing a toy to their hand so they can grasp it. Depends on what stage they're at, because they're going to be developing different skills at different ages. So I think that's really helpful. And then in terms of like actual toys that you can get for them, I didn't buy any toys for my baby, but what I did get was this Love Every. It's very popular. They have these different play sets, these kits that they'll send to you based on your baby's age. And so you have everything you need based on their age, all the things that they need for their development. They don't need them, but like if you want to be engaged and you want to kind of like stimulate them more, then you can provide these things. So for example, for my baby right now at his stage, what I'm doing with him is I'm showing him these high contrast cards. So he looks at them, he fixates on them, and it just stimulates brain activity. And also he's discovering his hands and feet. So like playing around with that, tummy time. So getting him to be on his tummy so he can lift his neck up. So different things like that. But going back to what I was originally saying, like everything's new for your baby. So it's understandable that if, they've been out for a walk and there's a lot of noises, there's construction, there's cars, they're meeting a lot of people that way, that they're going to get tired really quickly and maybe act really fussy because it's overwhelming. It's a lot. So being conscious of that is really important. What surprised you the most with pregnancy and delivery and being a mom? So with pregnancy, let's see. With pregnancy, what surprised me was how good I felt. Like, I would say it was around the 3-month mark. Yeah, like after the first trimester, I was like feeling really good. I felt strong. I was like skipping around. I felt energy. I wanted to be really active, and I was really surprised by that. I was also surprised that like how healthy I was during pregnancy, like in terms of my eating habits. I usually have a sweet tooth. I love chocolate. Throughout pregnancy, I thought I'd be having so many cravings, but actually, on the contrary, I didn't want to have dessert. I was craving oranges, and I was surprised like how this is not what I hear very often, and that most people tell me that you'll have so many cravings and you want this and that, and it wasn't my experience. So that was surprising, like pleasantly surprising that how healthy I felt. And then after, having the baby, because of the labor experience and just like not taking care of myself postpartum, I felt so weak and just so drained. And I was like, wow, like, I feel nothing the way I did a few weeks ago. So what surprised me during the delivery was that my body, like, I had so much confidence in my body. I was so trusting of my body, knowing that like women are, for the most part, women are made to deliver babies. We're made to be able to be pregnant and have babies. And of course, there are, exceptional cases. But for the most part, that's how we have all these people around us. And, it's without your conscious thought. Like, you didn't really have to work to get impregnated. You did a little bit, your body's doing the rest. And the same with delivering a baby. Your body just does it. Like, if you don't have any medication, your body will push that baby out. So I was very confident in my body's natural ability to deliver the baby. So I went into birth, into the birth, just feeling very excited to kind of sit back and relax and release and allow my body to take over, allow the primal part of myself to take over. But what surprised me was that although my body was working, it wasn't doing what it was supposed to do. I had a really hard time dilating. And so I was surprised that it wasn't going according to how it should go for, a normal labor process. And I'll talk more about that when I talk about my birth story. So I was surprised that, sometimes the body does not follow the natural process. And so that kind of humbled me. I was so confident about my body, and I was like, oh, wow, actually, it didn't cooperate. And so there was a need for medical intervention, and thank God that I was able to have a C-section, or if I was back in the day before these things were available, I'd be one of those women who ends up dead after giving birth. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so this person's saying, I decided not to have kids because I don't want to go through all the pain and struggle. I saw many videos on YouTube. Also, having kids will prevent me from enjoying traveling the world as much as I want. So I understand that, all valid points. Personally, my opinion, my view on this, which is why I decided to have kids, is first of all, yes, there's pain in childbirth. Honestly though, if you get the epidural, I went from no medication at all, so I know what it feels like, to having an epidural, and it's easy with the epidural. So the pain can be for sure minimized, almost 100%. It's like magic. I don't know how these things work, but anyways, the pain, the way I saw pain, I was excited to give birth naturally. I didn't want to have the pain medication. I have reasons for that. I can discuss that in another video. It's not for my ego. It's not because I think I'm going to get a trophy. It's actually, because there are side effects to having medication. To think that there's none is a little bit odd. So, but I was understanding that there's going to be pain in childbirth. But for me, the way I framed it, this isn't just any pain. This isn't just me, walking down the street and spraining my ankle. That's just pain. This is pain with purpose. And for me, this is the greatest purpose of my life. This pain is allowing me to birth my son. This pain is, it's painful because what the body's doing is it's contracting, right? And so with each contraction, the baby is descending closer and closer and closer, and you're getting closer to meeting your baby for the first time. So this is pain with purpose. And so I was grateful for the contractions. I was grateful for the pain because I was I'm getting closer to meeting my baby boy. And so when you go through this kind of pain in childbirth, it empowers you because it shows you that you're capable of something that you thought you weren't capable of. You did something that you thought was overwhelming and that you couldn't do, but you pulled through it, and that you're stronger than you think. So that was kind of my thought process with the pain. And so I was ready for it. And I think it's when you fear the pain that's when it becomes more painful, because then what happens is when you fear it, you resist and you tighten. And that's the worst thing you can do during childbirth. Childbirth is about expanding. And so for me, when I was laboring at home naturally, I was thinking about just expansion, just release. Every time I felt a contraction, I was imagining a flower blooming, release, expand. And that is what's going to help you feel less pain. So remember that what resists persists. The way I saw childbirth, I saw it as a rite of passage. I saw it as an experience similar to my ayahuasca experience. I knew with ayahuasca that I was going to go through some pain during that experience, but I knew it would make me stronger. I knew it would help me to grow as a person. I knew it would help me to discover more about myself. And so I wanted to go through that process. And it was the same with the birth. I was I know that this is going to be one of the most challenging things, if not the most challenging things I ever do in my life. I'm going to transform from maiden to mother. And that doesn't come easily. That's going to come with some struggle. And you know what? I'm not the only one working. My baby is working too. Your baby's working with you. And so I kept on thinking, I was talking to my baby. I was saying, let's work together. And he's working hard to come out of you. He's changing positions. He has to turn to get through the canal. he has to do a lot of work to come earthside. And when he comes out, that's why he's so tired. When you have a fresh baby, they sleep like almost 24 hours that first day because it's exhausting for them. So that's the way I saw it. You know, for me, it was like, this is an opportunity to transform. This is an opportunity to level up. And I was really proud of myself, even though my birth went the total opposite of how I had expected. I was really proud of myself for pulling through it and for staying strong throughout the whole thing. All right, guys, so that is the first video that I have put out. So thank you so much for spending all this time with me. I hope that this was fun for you to watch or helpful. And so if there's anything that you want me to record a dedicated video for, any of these topics that I covered, let me know. Yes, I'm going to be putting out business content in the future, but right now I'm not doing that, right? So I'm just, this channel is about me sharing my personal experience, what I'm going through. And right now that's being a mom. And so that's what I'll be sharing. Once I'm back into business, I might even build, I'm even considering maybe an e-commerce brand for a baby product. It's on my mind, but I'm not really sure. And so, you know, if I do that, then of course I'll be sharing that whole journey with you guys. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.